Welcome to the Space and Grace podcast. I am your host, Tanisha Harris, and I am your CHEO, Chief Honesty and Encouragement Officer. Here at Space and Grace, we focus on healing, laughing, thriving, and loving. And we do that by granting ourselves and others the space and grace to evolve in very practical ways. Y'all ready? Let's do this. Welcome back, guys. It's episode 3 of the Space and Grace podcast. You know, I like to jump right in. So today we're going to discuss boundaries. This by far is one of my favorite topics to discuss. I first learned about boundaries and how to create them during therapy, one of my therapy sessions. I've had a therapist off and on since 2015. So, what are boundaries? Here's my definition. Boundaries are emotional lines created to protect, prevent, and provide. Protect you from other people's hurts, fears, and projections. Prevent you from overwhelming yourself and lowering your capacity to heal. And they provide you with emotional standards that guide you in decision making, sharing, and loving yourself and others. Psychology Today defines boundaries as an invisible line you draw around yourself to identify what is acceptable behavior and what is unacceptable behavior. Creating boundaries are hard, y'all, because we were never really taught how to navigate them, and our families never really understood how to accept them. Boundaries are not time bound. You can change them, you can move them around. They are evolving based on your healing, your maturity, and your circumstances. You can have physical boundaries, mental boundaries, financial, social, spiritual, and even sexual boundaries. Remember, space and grace. It's a process. So, I like to share an example of a boundary I created. I've created boundaries regarding my dating life with members of my family. I know they love me, but their love is sometimes expressed in ways that don't benefit me. It hurts more than it helps. Sometimes their love is expressed out of their fear or their limited perspectives. My family's insight and thoughts doesn't always contribute to healthy relationships or even healthy conversations. So I decided to share with them when and how I think it's best for me. I created a boundary. Creating boundaries, particularly around family, is difficult. However, once you start to see the fruit of creating them, you learn how to effectively communicate them. Creating boundaries can be profound, especially for us, communities of color, where families and traditions are deep rooted. Remember, creating boundaries isn't to push people away, it's to heal and create emotional safety for your healing. Not everyone will understand at first, and that's okay. So, how do I create boundaries? First, I'm honest around where I need the boundary. You may need to create boundaries for yourself and not for others. You may need to create boundaries around family members, workplace, past relationships, and prior significant others. Take some time and sit with what areas need some improvement. Once you've identified that an area needs a boundary, then it needs to be set in place. And that could be done either via communication or navigation. Create parameters around the boundary. Should you announce your boundary? Does it best serve you to practice the boundary when placed in a situation? Should you have some ideas as to how you would want to respond if someone doesn't respect the boundary? And ask yourself, how does this boundary help me? How does it heal me? What or whom should I avoid? Create templates around answering questions or responding to family. For example, when members of my family ask questions around my intimate relationships, I now know I'll say, "Thank you for your interest. I appreciate y'all looking out for me, but right now, I've decided not to share anything." Now, let me be clear. I get it. Some family members are not going to like it, and they may push for more information. Remember, this is new to them too. They'll get used to it. This is about our healing. Creating boundaries require healing and patience. They also require some level of courage. But keep at it. You keep learning and growing, and those boundaries will help you do just that. Okay, guys, that's it. Listen, I did another thing. I created an email. So if you have any questions or thoughts, email me at spaceandgracepodcast. That's the word space, the word and, the word grace podcast at gmail.com. Let's focus on creating some boundaries. Y'all ready? Let's do this. So that's it, guys. That wraps up today's episode. Remember, Space and Grace focuses on healing, laughing, thriving, and loving. We want to show the beauty and strength in offering space and grace to every aspect of our lives. Y'all ready? Let's do this.